Seeing fighters like Angela Hill and Loma Luke when we have grappling and clinching success against Denise Gomez gave me a little bit more confidence than I should have had in Eduardo Mora, as she struggled to get Gomez into those dominant positions as she's been able to do against so many other opponents in the past, weight bullying her opponents into those positions. But it did not end up working out for Gomez, or at least against Gomez, who was able to nullify those spots, land big shots of her own, and then end up picking up that split decision victory, ultimately crumbling our UFC lock of the night play. But the regional scene, we swept the board 5-0 on the regional scene for a good bit of profit there. But unfortunately, the UFC loss is probably the one that you guys care about the most here. So we do take an L there. So in terms of this past week's performance with the lock of the night plays, we go 5-1 for plus 7.3 units and a 24% ROI. And then that brings our yearly record to 42-21 for minus 1.42 units and a minus 1% ROI. We are pretty much back in it here and back into the black, and it should be in the green hopefully by this weekend, as we have another 2 lock of the night plays, not just with the UFC, but we also have PFL on Thursday, which I will have a lock of the night prediction for you guys strictly on the Patreon page. Don't worry, I will also be dropping a PFL full card prediction on the YouTube page either later Wednesday night or early Thursday morning, so keep your eyes peeled for that. So let's get into the top 3 lock of the night candidates I have for UFC Vegas 93. The first of which is going to be Josephine Knudsen, who comes in at minus 175 as she's going up against Julia Pilastri. Now, both these women normally like to take a striking heavy approach, but I believe the aggressiveness and physicality of Knudsen will do a good enough job in terms of stifling Pilastri's success. And either if that's with Knudsen pushing her up against the cage, using her physicality to drag her to the ground and do what she did to Marnik Mann, she might not be able to do it as dominantly as what she did to Mann, but she should be able to put Pilastri into some bad spots where we've seen Pilastri struggle in the past. And in women's MMA, physicality is a lot of what can be attributed to the success. It didn't work so much for Eduardo Mora last week around, but I do think that Knudsen is much more well-rounded and showcases a much better gas tank, so she can actually implement it over the course of 15 minutes compared to the lack of cardio that we saw from Mora and saw her fall off halfway through that second round. But in this matchup, I think Knudsen has a good enough advantage here pretty much in all facets of MMA over Pilastri, and that should allow her to go out there and pick up a decision victory, hopefully cashing as a potential lock of the night play. The second lock of the night candidate is going to be Garrett Armfield, coming in at minus 180 as he takes on Brady Heastand. Armfield originally comes from a wrestling background, and we've seen him use it defensively in the past, and I do expect him to use it here so that he can keep this fight in the striking realm, where he should be able to have an advantage over Heastand, who looks very uncomfortable in the striking round. Armfield has also done major and good work since joining Marathon MMA down there with Trey Ogden, and they're able to put together great game plans and execute them against high-level opponents, just as we saw Armfield do last time around in January against a much better fighter than he's fighting this weekend in Brad Katona. I do like Heastand. He is a solid fighter and a good prospect, but his lack of striking ability will cause him some issues here against Armfield, who should be able to walk him down, land some straight shots down the pipe, utilize his grappling defense, at least for the first 2 to 2.5 rounds, keep this fight upright, land the better damage, and end up picking a decision victory. The third and final lock of the night candidate is going to be a stablemate of Garrett Armfield and Miles Johns, who comes in at minus 125 as he takes on the aging, almost 39-year-old Douglas Silva de Andrade. Now, de Andrade turns 39 about a week after this matchup, and that's usually not the best case for fighters fighting at these lower weight classes, especially for a guy that is chiseled out of marble the way that Douglas is, and probably will start to struggle making this 135-pound weight class. But Miles Johns, had it not been for that unfortunate no contest to Dan Argueta due to a tainted supplement, I believe it was for his some medication that he was taking, that there was a mix-up there. Had it not been for that, he'd be on a 3-fight winning streak right now, and he's showing great improvements all around. We know that he's a strong wrestler. We know that he has a bunch of power in his hands as well, but in terms of being effective, even late when his body language is not that great, he does a great job in terms of staying active enough in terms of engaging in the cage clinch or looking to take opponents to the ground, or at least even while backpedaling, closing the distance and crashing the pocket enough with his big power to hurt his opponents and sometimes even put them away. I thought his last performances against Dan Argueta and Cody Gibson were shining examples of the improvements that Miles Johns has been making and the game planning that the team over there at Marathon MMA have been putting together, and their ability for their fighters to go out there and execute those types of game plans. Douglas will obviously be very dangerous in the early parts of this matchup, but I think Johns will do a good enough job in terms of wearing on him, slowing him down, and then reaping the fruits of his labor later on in this matchup as he pulls away with it down the stretch and picking up a decision victory. There you go. 3 lock of the night candidates. Only one of them is the official lock of the night play. To find out which one that is, check out the lock of the night Patreon page in the description below. You'll also get early access to the PFL best predictions, as I'll be dropping predictions on there first and then dropping the free YouTube full card breakdown later on. But yeah, that's the best way to support your boy. Appreciate the love, appreciate the support, and I'll be back later today for the top 3 dog of the night candidates, followed up with the PFL full card breakdown much later on Wednesday evening.